We're in a time of the year in winter when so many of us can struggle with low mood. Things can just become a little bit more grey or a bit more dark. And with it can come pessimism or being really self-critical or maybe doubting ourselves or even not having the energy to go and do things. And the one thing that I often find in bringing my work of heart and mind connection into the world that I think is so dangerous about low mood is the way that it can make us want to withdraw and isolate. And so what I wanted to do is to offer you 3 tips that are based actually on the learning I've been doing in doing my psychology degree. They are rather simple to implement, but they are also really powerful, and they really show in practice that they can work. And so the first tip is about actually stepping back. So this is very much about noticing that we are having a mood in the first place, because that means that when we step back from it, we're not sort of in it, and we can begin to sort of notice that that's the mood we're in, but we could change that mood. So it gives us a little bit more agency about it, to kind of just displace ourselves ever so slightly away from that experience. The second thing is about choice. What I mean by this is we can very compassionately begin to think about, could I view this situation in a different way? So for example, sometimes I get up in the morning and the day is grey, and often my first thoughts can be, oh gosh, it's a really grey day, so that's not so good. So that is of course just a thought. But for example, what would happen if instead of that I began to think, oh, it's a grey, rainy day. How could this day remind me to be more kinder to myself, to maybe take things a little bit easier, or to maybe feel more cozy so that I stay warm? Just notice the difference that just that little shift in our thinking can do. And the third and really important tip that we will use in therapy, for example, like CBT therapy, to help people counter low mood, will be encouraging behavior that counters isolation. So that's very much really a tip about asking you to do things. So if my low mood says, oh, why bother? Maybe I sort of challenge my thinking, like the tip number 2, and say, okay, I'll get up, I will, make my bed, I'm going to make myself a really good breakfast, and then I see what happens. So being able to think about the things we can do does actually 2 things that are really clever. In the first place, it gets us into action, which of course the low mood can make us sort of very static. And the second thing is that as we do things, we ultimately create something new and we practice our agency. So I encourage you to try these 3 tips and see how you do. It probably will not take away those low mood days entirely, nor should it, because if it did, then you wouldn't know the days when you're super happy. But hopefully it will give you some practical ideas about how to not get swallowed up in low mood.